Week 4, QB start sit. Keegan, why don't you kick things off here with your QB start of the week?
I have a start of the week, and I feel like there is somebody better to talk about that specific QB in this group of ours. So I'm going to add in my little talking points about that QB when we get to him. But I brought an additional one to the party today. And speaking of parties, his name is Purdy. The Brock Party is here for this week as my start at QB. Look, it's
No way,
all
it's not
about-
even Brocktober. It's not even Brocktober, dude. Wow, that's crazy.
It will be, won't it be, by the time he plays? Look,
It'll be Brocktober. Yeah.
Brocktober, baby. Let's
look,
go.
49ers highest implied team total this week, 29 points. Arizona's allowing the 7th most fantasy points to the quarterback position per game this year. He's coming off a 310-yard passing outing with 2 touchdowns, and he's finished as a top 15. I had to double check this. He's finished as a top 15 fantasy scorer in 7 out of 9 starts so far in his career. I mean, he's about as safe as it gets when it comes to just like consistent fantasy starter. And I think this week he has another opportunity to do exactly that. If he could just add a touchdown to his stat line from last week, I mean, he's going to be cooking in fantasy land. I love Brock Purdy as a flyer start. I love him as a you're not sure what to do start. I love him as a, hey, I don't like the options that I've got right now or my matchups are bad start. I just think he's a really like low-key consistent QB play this week. And also,
I like it.
Arizona's been very competitive this season. And I'm adding that into my assumption that San Francisco is not just going to like walk away from this game and having crushed them. I feel like Brock Purdy and
they're going to crush them. They're going to absolutely grind them into dust.
whatever, Mr. 49ers fan, put it aside.
No,
for
I'm just
now.
telling you, they're going to beat the living shit out of the Cardinals. I'm just telling you right now.
Well, we thought that with the Cowboys.
Hey, this is
Yeah,
my
but the
segment. This is my segment. Shut up. All right.
They're coming to San Francisco. It's going to be a dog.
No, they're not coming to San
Sorry,
Francisco.
Santa
They're going to
Clara.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Yes, they're flying into
Santa Clara,
SJC
okay.
and they're getting a hotel in downtown San Jose because you guys play in Santa Clara in a big old open
I
toilet
worked
bowl.
there. I know where they play. Okay, I worked at the stadium.
Great America
all right?
on
Yeah,
Saturday. Get a nice funnel cake.
Exactly. So when the Santa Clara
You love funnel
49ers
cake.
play the Arizona Cardinals this week, I think Brock Purdy will have a great fantasy start. Gosh, I'm just going to hijack your guys' start sit too. Leave me alone. Let me live.
Do it. My only fear is that game plays at a super slow pace, and the Cardinals have a terrible rush defense, and it's just run. That's my only fear. But I think Purdy will get there with a couple touchdowns.
I like it. That is Brock's first appearance on either start or sit. So, Brock, welcome to the program. It's what's the scene from Succession? Just wanted to bring it around and say, "Yo,
Kendall,
that's me." Yeah, that's me
Oh,
welcoming
wow.
Brock to our segment. All right, I'll segue that now that I kind of butchered that joke a little. So it's now or
clip it.
never.
Say it.
It's now or never. It's, gentlemen, this is the Alamo. It is the final stand. We're going down with the ship. This is for everything. This is for everything. And it's him. It is the one we call QB1, Justin Fields, at home against the Denver Broncos. We will not quit you, Justin. We will not quit you as a program. If there is any resemblance of the QB we saw from weeks 5 and on last year, still behind that jersey, it's now or never, my friend. The Denver Broncos just gave up 70 points and are the second worst defense in the NFL behind none other than your Chicago Bears. Just looking at the QB position, they're giving up the second most fantasy points per game, just over 24 points a game. If there is ever a get right spot, there is no better time than this week against Denver. We all have to remember it took a couple of weeks for Fields last year to get right before he really broke out. But it's pretty unexcusable how long it's taken this year, given like we had already seen that. We thought we were kind of going to pick up where we left off. If that's going to happen again this year, if you still have any faith in him, if you still own Justin Fields, you have to start him this week. Given like where you drafted him,
Gotta start him. Must
you
start.
have to start him this week. You have to start him this week. There is no and ifs or buts. You've been burned. He's been QB, 15, 20 throughout the year. If there's ever a time for Justin Fields to pop and reemerge into top 5 QB status in the fantasy world, it's now. So, Justin Fields, I'm here. I will not quit you quite yet. So I'm gearing up for one more battle with my guy him.
Two nuggets here because I also had Justin Fields as my start, and then I found out Aidan was doing it, so I wanted to offer up something else. But Miami. I was thinking of the last week's matchup, but Denver. They're bottom 3 in both pass rush, pass rush,
Win rate. I hate when that happens.
rate, and also
There it
QB
is.
pressure rate. Like there is going to be time for Justin Fields to throw, and like one of Justin Fields' specialties is his ability to throw the long ball. And just looking at some of Denver's stats on coverage grade and throws of 15 plus yards, they are like bottom of the league team in both the coverage grade on those throws and catch percentage allowed. So I feel like there is going to be a good amount of opportunity for deep ball options for Justin Fields, and ran the ball season high 11 times last week. So if we can get some of that rushing floor to pick him up, I think it's a great matchup for him. So
I want to point out one underdog contest piece for Justin Fields. His passing yards, higher or lower, is 186.5 yards, which he is 2-1 on the season against hitting that number. To Keegan's point, like Denver has been beat by the deep ball. They're allowing touchdowns at a pretty alarming rate. I think it's 61%. I would have to double check of drives that are ending in touchdowns. I think 186 yards. Absolutely pencil that into one of your contests this week, and I think that's absolutely going higher.
I would really like it if Justin Fields had a good game. It would be so cool for my best ball teams.
I need it. Mm-hmm.
It'd be very cool. This week, I am not starting Justin Fields or Brock Purdy. I love both of those. Really solid matchups. I'm riding with Anthony Richardson, and I know people are saying, hey, we know you're going to start Anthony Richardson. Why are you saying this? I just want people to remind themselves that Anthony Richardson was out last week. You now are looking at your sleeper app, and you see that the Rams have a little like orange color next to him. And you're like, oh, and his projection is 16 fantasy points. And you're sitting there and like, oh, I don't know if I should start Anthony Richardson this week. The reason I'm starting Anthony Richardson this week is for a couple of reasons. This is going to be a pass-happy, fast-paced matchup played indoors, covered by our Keegan Thomson on our matchup preview. This Rams defense just let a one-legged Joe Burrow carve them up with a super quick game, like just get the ball out offense, right? And the Colts have actually ran a surprisingly pass-happy, short passing game offense. The Colts have the second lowest ADOT in the 11th fastest time to throw in the league through 3 games. They're getting rid of the ball quick. They're throwing it short. This bodes well for the Colts creating a safe environment for Anthony Richardson to operate opposite of Aaron Donald. And the other reason that I think that Anthony Richardson is a plus matchup in this game is that the Rams' rush defense hasn't been very good, and the Colts have one of the better run games in the league. Zach Moss tore up that Ravens front even without Richardson on the road last week. I expect Richardson to pick up where he left off before leaving week 2 with a concussion. He had like 17 fantasy points in like 1.5 quarters. So I feel really good about the start playing indoors against a defense that I think is exploitable, and I like the game environment as Keegan highlighted earlier. So I'm feeling good about Mr. Anthony Richardson. Before we transition to our sit of the weeks at quarterback, if we're halfway through this video, if you have not had a chance to subscribe yet, please do. We would appreciate the support. Like the video, subscribe, go ahead and turn on the notifications. We appreciate you being a part of the mean team. Keegan, who are you sitting at quarterback this week?
we have a regular appearing in this segment, and he's back yet again. And I think the time for this guy's fantasy relevancy at the quarterback position is dwindling down to an end until I see something different. But I'm sitting Dak Prescott this week.
No, he's been
He's
here
gonna have
every
the game
week.
of his career. He's gonna have the game of his career.
Again. I'm sitting them again.
We're Barack. We're Barack.
There's two elements to this. One, Dak has not been particularly like mind blowing in fantasy, right? Like you can admit that he's been pretty pedestrian when it comes to fantasy at the quarterback. So far, he's finished as a QB 29, QB 17, and QB 17. Those are not numbers to get super excited about, especially when he might be your only quarterback on the roster and some of the teams that you built. Also, he's facing a New England defense that's currently allowing the 6th fewest fantasy points to the QB position this year. Right now, Prescott is playing a lot better against zone than man, and Patriots are running man at the 4th highest rate in the NFL in 2023. They also have this new rookie stud cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who is playing out of his mind right now. I also think with the Cowboys being such decent favorites in this game, we are in for a Pollard posse matchup and not so much a Dak and passing game matchup. And so I'm not trying to knock Dak. I just think game environment, how he's finished his fantasy match or weeks this year so far, and what the Patriots have been able to do against the pass game just doesn't make this an appealing matchup for me. And Dak is probably on the fringe of your quarterback. Like, well, shit, I have to start him. Like I said, he might be your only one, but I mean, Patriots already held Tua and Hurts to like sub 15-point fantasy outings, two incredible quarterbacks that have had pretty decent fantasy years. And obviously we saw what they did to Zach Wilson. But I just don't like the game environment, don't like the matchup. I think this is, like I said, Pollard posse game headed into this weekend. So Dak Prescott, probably better left on the bench. Sounds like an underwhelming 14 or 13-point outing from Dak. And they'll probably win too. But that doesn't help you win in fantasy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. He should get residency on the sit list because it feels like he's hanging out. Like we are weekly invitees to the posse standing up, and I think that's going to happen again this week. Tony Pollard is going to be the star of the show in this one, so I'm with you, Keegan. I'm not going to like completely stand with you here because I don't want to drink the milk with you, but I think it's a good call.
Don't be a coward. I just put water.
No, I'm
all
1
over
foot
me.
in.
Oh,
I'm
did you
1
say?
foot in.
Did you just say cow? Because like milk, cow.
Cows don't drink milk. Tummy. They drink water. They make milk.
They make it.
All right, let's
moving on.
That was bad.
Yes.
That was bad. Yeah,
Moving
Aidan,
on.
who's your sit of the week at quarterback?
Speaking about cowards, no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to.
I thought you were gonna say cow.
No, but speaking about a guy that's like people just don't like, not for being a coward, for other reasons. I'm sitting Deshaun Watson versus Baltimore this week. We are sitting Deshaun Watson. It's been an up and down season for Deshaun Watson. He opened the year week 1, 21.66 points. Pretty nice way to start the year. Week 2, 12.6. Bad for a quarterback with rushing upside. Last week, back up to 21.16. We like that, Deshaun. I think we're back towards a closer to 10-point outing this week against the Baltimore Ravens. Looking at this division, it's just consistent slugfests. He only played them once last year, given the amount of time he had to miss, and he barely threw for 161 yards and a touchdown. This typically is not a matchup where there's a ton of points scored. And for that reason, I just don't see him hitting home, kind of like some of these 20-point outings. I think his rushing would need to be quite extensive for him to hit that kind of 20-point mark. So I'm definitely sitting Deshaun Watson. It just feels like the AFC North, they just beat the shit out of each other. There's kind of no way around it. Every time these teams see each other, it is just an absolute slugfest. So I think there's a lot more matchups where you like Deshaun Watson's upside. I think he's probably been a little bit better than honestly most people expected through 3 weeks, but this is not the week for me to be confidently trotting him out. I'm probably looking at my QB2, given you probably took him around QB8, QB10. There's a very good chance you've got a second QB, maybe Daniel Jones, maybe an Anthony Richardson. You're probably looking at another QB on your roster who I would absolutely play. There's a lot better QB matchups this week than Mr. Deshaun Watson.
You do not have to convince me to fade Deshaun Watson. I am with that sit. The guy I'm sitting this week is a little controversial because he's been absolutely dynamite through the first 3 weeks of the season, but I'm sitting Kirk Cousins. So again, to caveat here, Kirk has been awesome. We can't deny that. I think because of his counting stats, people are going to want to continue riding the hot hand. However, this matchup really isn't as enticing as it may seem. The Panthers have been the fourth stingiest defense to quarterbacks in fantasy through 3 weeks. They've surrendered the ninth most passing yards, the 12th worst completion percentage over expected, and they've really wreaked havoc with a great pass rush. They've generated 10 sacks and have the second fastest time to pressure of any defense this year. This game is going to be played outdoors and on the roads. Last season, this is a cool stat, Cousins averaged 16 fantasy points per game on the road per game and 20 fantasy points per game at home. A lot of people drafted Cousins. They often did it with another QB as like a platoon approach. You probably want to keep riding Cousins. I think it's time you might put him on the bench this week, even after such a hot start. So we are starting this week Anthony Richardson, Brock Purdy, and we're also going to give a start over to Justin Fields. This is the week. And we're also going to be sitting this week Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, and Keegan, who are you sitting?
Dak Prescott.
And of course, he has a residency in our start sit. And that is it for quarterbacks. Until next time.